the Nonprofit Podcast, powered by Donorbox.
So many people feel like they're drowning at work. It's not uncommon at all to feel one step behind. I was on a coaching check-in call with a client last week, and the last time we talked, we mapped out a plan to welcome new donors into the organization and keep communicating with them. I asked how they were doing with it, and she said, "I keep doing other things and pushing that back. I know I need to get to it." It's so easy to let that happen and let those high-value tasks get away from us. Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast. I'm Kara, a fundraising coach at Donorbox. We're here each week with practical actions you can use today to increase donations and take your nonprofit to the next level tomorrow. In the nonprofit world, we struggle with doing our jobs and grappling with all those distractions, communications that are always on. We wrestle with inefficient work time and information overload. I've been there. I feel like I'm there most days, struggling with this myself. So I recently took a dive into learning more about how to be more productive. I spent time talking to others about solutions that work for them and looked specifically at some solutions that might help nonprofit leaders, founders, and fundraisers. Today, we walk through 4 productivity killers and some easy-to-apply solutions. Our first productivity killer is comparison. I tell my teen daughters this all the time, but comparison is the thief of joy. That Teddy Roosevelt quote is easier said than done, right? I know. Comparing your nonprofit to another organization can create a distorted perception of what success looks like. Every nonprofit has its unique mission and goals and community that it serves, and what works well for one organization may not necessarily work for yours. And even more dangerously, you can lose your focus and experience a serious case of mission drift. It's easy to get caught up in trying to replicate the success or the strategies of another organization, but they may not align with your unique purpose. I see this in my teens all the time. I do it myself sometimes, personally and professionally. But when I admire something in others, I try to replicate it for myself. It can be constructive. It can be a positive experience, learning from others and enhancing your own skills and characteristics. But it can be dangerous too if you bury your own strengths and values and sacrifice them by replicating those of others. You know, your organization was created to do something very special, and that shouldn't be overlooked. So my recommendation here is to focus on doing something well, then build on it. Build your confidence doing one thing well and then another, and you can identify your top priorities. We have mentioned in the past few episodes that donor retention is a key metric to grow organizations. So let's say donor retention is your top priority. Well, then break that goal of growing your donor retention level into some manageable, actionable steps, like I'm going to spend July reaching out to all of last year's donors personally, whether through a note in the mail, a phone call, or an email. So that would be your first actionable item to help you prioritize and create manageable, actionable steps to build your confidence one step at a time. And then each small step builds momentum and contributes to progress, and it's all your own. Next, we live in a distracted world. We live in a world where it's easier than ever to communicate, but really much harder than ever to keep up. And so distraction is our next productivity killer. I was recently on a call with a colleague of mine, Adam, who leads the Delaware Nature Conservancy, and I asked how he was able to keep on top of everything he had to do. I personally was a little frustrated staying on top of my own projects, and so he encouraged me to try the practice of time blocking. Time blocking involves creating specific time blocks for different tasks or activities. So you essentially schedule dedicated blocks of time for focused work without any distractions. I put aside my concern of being available to everyone all of the time and instead used that time to turn off notifications, close some extra tabs on my computer, and stuff down my bad habit of multitasking. Lo and behold, it worked. I actually took it to the next level and used some software to provide some insights into how I spend my time and help me prioritize those high-value tasks. It really feels like I'm getting some things done now more than ever. And Morgan Gross is a nonprofit professional who shared with me on LinkedIn a big productivity booster. She said, and I quote this, "One of my favorite things I implement is startup and shutdown routines. This gives me 15 to 20 minutes a day to come into the day calm and leave my computer feeling accomplished, including closing all those dozens of tabs no longer needed." I've also found some software, both Toggle.com and Sunsama, that give you that nudge to wind down, and they both help provide some insights into time and daily task management. Using Sunsama has helped me overcome some of those mental obstacles too, of making my daily plan. I add in 5 minutes to make a quick phone call and then check it off. Saying I'll get to it later never really gets it done for me. I know a lot of people really struggle with dealing with digital distractions like social media or email notifications, and those can really hinder productivity too. So I encourage you to turn off those non-essential notifications on your devices. Did you know there are even apps or browser extensions that block or limit access to those distracting websites? If you know that you tend to waste time on distracting websites, you can use Microsoft Stay Focused, which is a productivity extension for Google. Once your allotted time has been used up, the sites you have blocked will be inaccessible for the rest of the day. And this helps prevent overload and allows you to focus on taking that one step at a time. Getting the mental energy to try some new software can be intimidating, I know, but these assistants, I guess, can really help prevent those days that you feel like you've done everything and then nothing at all at the same time. I hate days like that. Okay, on to our number 3 productivity killer, and that is manual processes. What are you doing manually that you can automate? Manual processes can be labor-intensive and really prone to human error. You can automate things like your donor data management, and I'll give you an example of that. When a donation is made through Donorbox, there's some software called Zapier that can automatically capture that donor's information and sync it with your other apps or tools that you use, like your CRM, your customer relationship management system, your email marketing platforms, or even just a spreadsheet. And this automation eliminates the need for that manual data entry, and it ensures that donor information is accurate and then instantly updated across multiple systems. You can also use some project management software like Asana or Monday.com for their customizable boards and workflows. I know major gift officers, development officers, use these boards for donor management. You can create a board for each donor and then monitor and track your next communication touch points with those donors to keep the conversation going so that you can build relationships. The boards and then the due dates on them sync with your task list or your calendar and can help keep you from dropping the ball with donors. And when you automate some of those manual processes, this gives you the capacity to manage, and it helps you scale that nonprofit a little bit more too. And there are many that have some free use, and we'll link those for you in the show notes. All right, our last productivity killer is trying to do it all yourself. Leverage your volunteers' strengths, and that can really boost your productivity as an organization. Do you have some skill-based volunteer needs? I had a coaching call with a client today, and they asked a volunteer to come in and handwrite some thank you postcards. Maybe you have someone who can help with fundraising or project management or even accounting. As you build out your board of director roles, look for those volunteers with those specific skill sets that would really be an asset to your team and extend your team's capability. You'll feel like you have more capacity, and you'll have experts right alongside you working together for your mission. And speaking of asking others to come alongside you, even if you're a one-person team, find others you can talk to about your organizational challenges. Go to lunch with another nonprofit professional on your team or in your area. And then instead of comparing yourself to others, do you have an opportunity to collaborate and learn from others in your community or others in the sector who are likely going through some of the same challenges you are or have been there before you? Your local Association of Fundraising Professionals chapter is there, and they will help you find a mentor or find someone who will hold you accountable to those daily tasks and activities that maybe get buried. We're here for you too. You can reach out to our team at academy@donorbox.org. You're certainly not alone. And if you're not sure where to start, we would certainly love to work with you. Explosive productivity growth doesn't happen overnight. It's about those daily incremental improvements, refining our processes, enhancing our skills, improving operational efficiency, and I'm working on those right alongside you. I know your time is precious, so thank you for choosing to spend a little of it with the Nonprofit Podcast. I hope you've left with the confidence to take a small step today that will make a big difference tomorrow. Be sure to click the download button on your podcast player, then leave the Nonprofit Podcast a review or give it a thumbs up if you're listening to the Nonprofit Podcast on YouTube. Your review is really a great way to help others find us. You're here to help others. We're here to help you. So until next time, stay inspired.
That warm feeling when you help someone, it's not just happiness, it's fulfillment. And we believe it should be available to everyone, from frontline heroes to first-time fundraisers. Our tools empower you to help others. This is our mission. This is Donorbox, helping you help others.